today's roundtable hearing or meeting, basically hosted by the Committee on Higher Education, Cultural Affairs, Public Libraries, and Women's Affairs, which is today, February 8, 2016, in our public hearing here in the Guam Legislature. And the purpose of the roundtable is to discuss with you, the students of UOG and GCC, about the sexual misconduct policies in your respective higher learning institutions. Dr. Underwood, thank you very much for being here. We're waiting for another representative from the community college. And I want you, the students, to know that this is a second of a series of meetings that to continue the conversations and to have candid and honest discussions about the environments, at our institutions, your institutions that you're attending. The first roundtable discussion was held on March the 25th with UOG and GCC leaders. Our discussions are meant to be proactive discussion with all the stakeholders, and that we're hoping they'll be open and transparent with the goal of improving and strengthening safety efforts and policies intended to protect students and faculty from sexual conduct. I know that earlier we had, when we were first having this discussion, we found out that both of the institutions had done some amendments to their policies. I know the university, had a series of discussions and presentations to the students, at a task force also that was put together to look at the current policies and make recommendations to the board on those policies. And my understanding is that it had passed through the board, right? Okay, thank you. This afternoon, I'd like to thank my colleagues who have joined me this afternoon. That's Senator Munya Barnes. Thank you for joining me, and Senator Underwood as well. Thank you very much. Senator sorry, Mr. Vice Speaker. I didn't recognize you.
You look like a student.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Not bad. Okay. So thank you very much, Mr. Vice Speaker, for joining us. I know you've taken a special interest in this whole discussion. So, but what I like to do then, if I may, is that I would take some time to go all around and have you introduce yourselves immediately. But what I think would be best is that, as you present or speak on the issue or have any questions, at least we have Dr. Underwood here, at least for the University of Guam, who will be able to field your questions. And as soon as I get anyone from GCC, then they'll be able to then address your questions, or unless you just want to speak on the issue. That I ask that you identify yourself by name and say which institution you're from, and then you'll be then you can proceed with what you want to present. Now, depending, of course, is that if there's anyone out there in the audience who would like to speak, I think it's important that we know so we can kind of gauge how much time we have, because I know I do have a public hearing at 3:30 for another department, but I like to give you as much time. If not, and we see that there's more, then it may mean then to continue again this roundtable, another date. We have to comply with the law of advertising 5 days, giving a 5-day notice, and then a 24-hour notice. So we want to make sure we do that. But I do not want to stifle anyone here who would like, to speak. So I would be more than happy to extend again and have, a continuation rather of, this whole roundtable. Okay, so at least I would like to allow the presidents of your student body association maybe to start off, and then I'll have the president identify maybe other members who that's in your leadership to participate, and then we can open it up for other members of your organization. Okay, so Do you, oh, so let's pull the cord first also. Yeah, you're right. You don't want to disconnect yourself there. So, and please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jericho Tobias. I'm the president of the Student Government Association from the University of Guam. So recently, in March 2016, the newly reformed sexual misconduct policy was passed by our Board of Regents, and the feedback that we have gotten from the students has been very positive. At first, there was some resistance to the new policy of having students to take the training online before they can register, but from what I understand, even though there was some initial resistance, most students have complied, and while some of them felt that it was a hassle, it didn't stop them from actually complying with the new policy and moving on with their registration. From what we understand as a council, there is a new helpline, the 735 help, and it's been it's a good sign that no one has called the number yet, and that there have been no issues whatsoever. Students feel safer on campus, and UOG is taking more steps to ensure the campus safety, and the students are, especially us, because we have also been there for quite a while, and we feel that UOG has been taking the necessary steps to ensure that the students come first.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone you'd like to then maybe identify that you'd like to follow after you, and then we can open it up for others? Or you just want to go down the line?
I think it would be best if we just go down the line.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Samantha David. I'm the vice president for SGA. The reactions of the students, again, like as Jericho mentioned, it's been positive. Yes, there was resistance to it. That's just a few of them, because with the online training, in order to register, it's like, why do I have to do this? Why can't I just register for classes? But then again, we're making the students aware about not this sexual misconduct policy, but also other policies that UOG wants to give awareness to. So it's been a journey, I would say, but it's just a matter of being aware of what's going on with the university.
Thank you. And maybe before, just because there's two of you who have echoed what the students basically said, I mean, initial resistance and why. So Dr. Underwood, maybe if I may ask, is that the university put out some kind of like mass communications to kind of just say why maybe we're doing this? Why is it that we're requiring now every student, every staff, every faculty member to go through such training?
Yes, we informed the entire community that we're requiring this. The only way that we could kind of assure that there would be strong student participation is to get them to register before, to get them to take the online training as a prerequisite to registering. I'm glad to report that I think it's up to about 1,600 now. So we're almost halfway there, except for new students. We expect about 600 new students come in over the summer months. So actually the online training has been fairly successful. It also, at the same time, we're kind of upgrading our IT for other purposes as well. So this is kind of like part of the way that we're communicating in the 21st century. And so this has worked out. For the staff and for the faculty and for the administrators, we're requiring live training, in-person training, and we've hired a consultant for that purpose. And that training will be held on April 26th and April 27th. And the staff will be divided into two halves in order not to impede services. And there will be no classes on the morning of Wednesday, April 27th, so that no one will have a reason not to attend.
Thank you very much. So we can go ahead and go on to the next student.
Hello day everyone, my name is Bert Palacios. I am the Senator for the 54th Student Government Association of UOG. And to what Dr. Underwood and President Tobias, Vice President David said, although there is resistance, we know that the feedback we're getting, the products that we're receiving are good, and it's good for the eyes and for the community to know that although we are aware, we're actually doing something in the university.
And thank you. Maybe as we go around, and I want you to think about this too as well, because this all started with, of course, complaints that there are cases and that there are victims, and that some of the victims either were fearful of coming forward, and many times, or that they just didn't want to bother, or that maybe somehow they may feel that the system has prevented them from, feeling safe about reporting this. So as you go around, and if you're done and you can think about it, is that if you really know of any cases to support some of those reports that, we've been hearing, that it's important that, we hear of it. I don't want any names, of course, because I want to always protect the privacy of the individuals, but just the notion of knowing that there are actual cases that you might know, whether it's your best friend, a classmate of yours, or you've seen something. I think it's important that, with the president here and, and other staffers that he has here, that because they've set up basically a group or a process and procedures in terms of, when you report, what will happen, where would it go, and what type of services will be provided, and when it will be reported to the police, and if it's going to go to court and all that. So, but it's important for us to establish that, other than just, it might be nice to have all these rules and regulations and training and all that, but if it's not doing what it's supposed to do, is to protect and provide safety and make you feel, comfortable enough to report this, and to get, services, and for the university to act on that, to, of course, take action against the, the perpetrators. So please think about it as well as we go around. Okay? Thank you very much.
Hafaday. My name is Alexia Ada. I am the Secretary of the Residents Governing Hall Council, as well as a student committee member of the 54th Student Governing Association of UOG. As for the issue of the sexual misconduct, I believe that with the whole training that we're all going through for students and faculty members and staff, we have been very outspoken about this issue, and with everything that we're going through, the trainings, and with the April 26th and 27th training for the faculty members, I believe that it's really, it's a great start. And for students to have the sexual misconduct training online, it's a great way for new students to see what our school is about and how we take this issue in. And as for cases, it's unfortunate that I was never told about anything, and if I were to be brought up about a case, I would definitely bring up this situation towards the members as well, and from then on I could think of services that we could help provide for the student or anyone in this situation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The other thing too, I think it's important, because even in the policy, there was to encourage anyone, faculty, staff, and students, that if you know or you see that, I'm not going to say you're going to take action to go in there yourself, and because we don't want you to be harmed, but that, you actually do your part as well to report this. Because, it's a little bit different with adults, and, you're all young adults, versus at our public schools, where if any faculty member or any adult really in a campus or in a school, that if we hear of a child being abused, we have no choice by law that we must report it, whether it's true or not true. it must be reported, and then we allow the officials at CPS then to do the investigation themselves to verify whether in fact it is true or not. But and I know it's a little bit different with young adults, of course, but I think as a community we always want to be there to support, provide some type of support, and to basically say that stop, no more, we don't want this to happen, and that so we're being proactive by reporting it. So, and I hope then that maybe this is something, maybe the student body could consider something like an organization that I know of, these young kids, where they have started this movement, which is really like stop the violence, type of thing, and and they were making pledges and signing off that they will stop the violence and that they would not be a part of it. And I'm not saying that you should do this, but definitely in your own community, you as the leaders of your institution, can kind of set the tone for everybody else. Thank you very much, Alexia. So.
Hapaday, my name is Polar. I'm Senator of the University of Guam Student Government Association, the 54th. For the sexual misconduct policy, it's a really good policy because it creates awareness to students, continuing and new students. So for if students have those kind of problems that comes to them, then we know what to do, to call the helpline. That's 735 help. And yeah. Thank you.
Have you heard of any?
No.
Or know of any?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Today, my name is Julian Breosos. I'm a recreations manager for the 54th Student Government Association from University of Guam. I feel like the sexual misconduct policy that was implemented is actually a good thing, because there's a lot of things when you take the test that they point out. There's several offices that they can redirect you to if you need any help. There's several centers you can go to, and they're all within the campus range. And it does actually, I didn't know there was a number you can call in case you need someone to talk to, or if you feel unsafe about the campus in general. So I felt like it was a really good thing to do, implementing this requirement in order to register for the next semester, just so we know, just so we're more aware of what our campus has to offer to us.
Hawaii. My name is Louis Sanders, and I am also a senator of the 54th Student Governing Council Association from UOG. I wouldn't say much about the sexual misconduct. I think it's pretty much explained from the president and the early members. All I can say is that I think it's a really good awareness for the students and for the upcoming students, so that they can be prepared and know where to go when an issue like this comes up in the future school days coming up ahead. I also want to say that we, the 54th Council, are more than welcome to help out students that are not aware or do not have a say or are afraid to go out and talk to other people about it. We're more than welcome to welcome students and hear about it. So we're here to help out students.
So I'm going to now ask you the question, since you just said that you're going to help. Can you tell us then what the process is? How do you go now online to then begin this whole training? This is your opportunity now to tell all of these students here what they need to do if they haven't gone through it.
The training for the sexual misconduct?
Yes.
Well, I just registered this week, and at first, I tried to go online, but it couldn't go through. I couldn't go through. So I then went back and then tried to look for what was missing, and then I realized that I had to take the training. I had to take the training on Moodle. Well, it's two separate ways. So we have to go on Moodle and then go back to the web advisor. So then I had to go back and I went on Moodle, and then I had to went through all the questions of how sexual misconduct, what numbers we should call when it comes to the issue if we ever approach it. And then I had to went through. It was about 10 to 15 minutes of reading, and just so they give us instructions to read and the explanations of how it is. And then after that, we had to answer. It's a true and false questions, so we had to answer if it's true. So it's pretty much a really good way.
So did
What
it?
happens when you give
You're
the
right.
wrong answer?
That's my next question. You're right. What happens then if you give the wrong answer?
Well, I think I
Did it
got
come
like,
back to you and tell you what the correct
yeah.
answer is?
Well, you have at least 3 tries.
Okay, fair enough.
So that
Okay.
means, well, everyone knows what that means. Yeah, well, that's pretty much how, yeah.
Okay, so do you consider then this whole training going to the computer to be user friendly? Was it easy to navigate, through the whole process, or?
I'd say it's pretty much easy. All you got to do is just read through it, and then just
10 to 15 minutes it took him,
yeah.
yeah. Because he had 3 tries. That's the extra 5 minutes. Okay. Yes, yes. Go ahead, please. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
I think he just forgot to mention this, but when you do take the training on Moodle, you will have to have your student ID number on you, because that's how they will verify it if you were the one that took the test. Because when you enter your name and your student ID number, they will give you a certificate that I think that you can print out or save to your computer. As far as I know, is that all you needed, right? When you pass, they'll let you register. I'm not sure exactly how many days between you passing and registering. It
took me about a day.
Yeah, so maybe about 1 day after you take the test, you'll be able to register right away. So it's not that much of a hassle. Yeah.
I mean, just to, there's always an added benefit to everything. And just to make sure that the point of the training is to get to the right answers. The point of the training is not to test somebody and say, okay, you can't register. The point of the training is you go through it until you have a basic comprehension of it, and so therefore you can register. But the other part of it is they all then get a Moodle account. Then when you get a Moodle account, you can do online learning for other purposes of that, see, so that's all this all has a kind of an added benefit, and it really increases the capacity of the university to do more training and do other things, and also to take online courses. So by the time we're done with this, every student will have a Moodle account, which we couldn't say last year. And so now that every student has a Moodle account, it will be easier to do online learning. And then we're also doing at the same time a campus climate survey, which we just announced this week, which is different than this, which is required training. And that campus survey is done in Qualtrics. And again, that's another opportunity for students to communicate with the university in a secure way their opinions about things.
So we'll move on to.
Half a day. My name is Mitchell Johnson. I'm a senator for the 54th Student Government Association of the University of Guam, and I'm also the vice president of the Pohnpei Student Organization of the University of Guam. Just like my fellow colleagues before me, I'm also in support of the sexual misconduct policy. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Student Regent. I believe it's because it gives the student basic information about the policy. It gives us more knowledge, and we learn more while we're doing the training on Moodle. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mitchell.
Oh, my voice is. Come on, huh? Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Hey J. Reddy Paul. I am as of now, I'm the outgoing student regent, but also a student committee member, part of the 54th Student Government Association. I am also, along with my colleagues on this side for now, I'm also in support of the sexual misconduct policy. I feel that, it's, in a way, it's aimed towards raising the awareness that, one, this is something that the university takes seriously, that we're going to try and we take any issues that's concerning our students very seriously, and we're trying to work towards better solutions, as well as asking them for solutions if they have anything that they would like to contribute towards it. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have. Sorry, I'm kind of really nervous about this whole thing.
You did very well.
Thank you.
So maybe I should ask this question too before we go along. Did you guys all get an opportunity to read the sexual misconduct policy? Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not going to put you in a spot or anything, but just because it's important. Because, several of you mentioned that, it aims to raise, awareness, is providing some solutions if you have to. So if you find sections of it that just does not work, then I hope you go through the process with your student representative on the board of trustees that, you do let them know as well. Because when we read it, we found one thing that we recommended to the president to consider, and that was allowing for students to have an advocate or a representative when they have to go before, a committee or, a group of individuals, because it's allowed for adults and meaning staff and faculty, but we didn't see it for the students. So, and definitely the president did indicate that that is definitely something that they would address with the student body. So, Jim, please, Dr. Conduit.
I did discuss this. I raised this issue with the Student Government Association just to clarify that the student discipline process is not always, but it's normally student on student. And so what happens is that in most instances, you can have a representative, but the representative can't speak. And that's so, it's up to the student body whether they want to recommend a change in that, and we certainly entertain it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Underwood. Wait, I almost lost my place. Okay.
Have a day, everyone. My name is Fanny Paul. I'm also a member of the Student Government Association, and a member of the Point Bay Student Organization. But today I'm going to be representing the Residence Halls Governing Council. I'm the VP. For this policy, I'm really, how I felt about it, I'm really glad that there's awareness that's being spread out, because I've been at UOG 4 years, and there's a lot of people that come off island and stay at the dorms. So I'm a resident at the residence hall, and from my experience, I haven't experienced any of the sexual harassment thing, but I have friends that have, and during that time, they what they did was they reported to G4S, and it was taken care of. They weren't harassed by that person anymore. So it's really nice to know that there's like an expanded policy, knowing that there's more awareness to everyone else, especially those coming in, those new students. So I'm like my fellow colleagues, I'm in support of this policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad that you were proactive to report it to G4S. But I'm thinking that that's more student to student. But no, it's
It was actually, there's like this red car that keeps going around campus and asking students like, can we drop you? Can we drop you?
Okay.
And they seem drunk, but it was taken care of. Like, I didn't see that car like in 2 weeks. I mean, I've seen that car and I've seen my friends walk around and they keep stopping right next to them, but I don't. I'm sure it's been taken care of because they reported it. They told me.
Okay, so well, I think there should be some. For me, I would think is that getting the license plate of that car, because then if they're not really a part of the community, the campus community, that they should be reported and should not be allowed to come around, because you're strong enough and your friends to report it. Yes. But then there might be others who could be victims. But this whole misconduct now is not necessarily only students against students. They're adults with students, faculty with students, outsiders who come in, like in this case, to the campus as well. So I want you to all feel really very comfortable to discuss it, because we can't solve things if we don't know really what the problems are, and we're hoping that with the president here hearing what you have to say, this man doesn't look intimidating, does he? So please feel free and comfortable enough to to speak freely and truthfully. Thank you.
Thank you.
Testing. Hi, my name is Daryl Navarro. I'm also one of the senators at the 54th Government Association. I just want to say I took the test twice because I'm also an employee at UOG. I was one of the few that resisted, I would admit, because I took it once. So it was kind of different for students and faculties, because the faculties had more to read, and for the students, I just also want to say, with the sexual misconduct going on, I feel the campus is more safe at night, because I do stay like past 11 at school, studying and hanging out and doing school stuff. School-related stuff such as SGA. Our events take a lot of planning, just so you know. Anyway, I do feel by taking those two sexual misconduct tests or training, I feel more aware of it, especially with the 735 help hotline, and I don't feel afraid. Like, if someone was above me and I can report them, and I can say someone has my back, instead of just running away and just, because I do have a friend that was sexually harassed by a professor, and she didn't report it up to now, and she is very afraid to come out. I'm trying to get her to come out, but with this new thing, I feel like students like myself and my peers they shouldn't be scared. That's it.
Thank you very much for being really brave enough to bring that up.
Maybe I can just clarify how he took two different tests. I'm assuming, Mr. Navarro, that you took the earlier test in October. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was training based on the old policy and a kind of a general sexual harassment. That was before we had the new policy. So the new policy was passed in March, and then this particular online training is designed to focus on the new policy. So it's different. And then when we do the live training with the employees of the university, then it will cover the new policy. So that's the difference for that. And also just on the intruders on campus, just to clarify, the university has public roads that go through it. So it's not like we're able to, it's not like a closed campus. There are people who live down near Marine Lab. It's, private property. And so the road that actually goes around the campus is a public thoroughfare. And that's, I'm not recommending that you turn over the road to us. I wouldn't recommend that. I wouldn't recommend that, and I'm not saying that, and that's not necessarily a good idea, but I just wanted to explain that presents additional issues for us in turn. So thanks.
Thank you for that explanation. But I think the one thing that I had wanted to focus on is your friend who has been, and to encourage him or her, to really come forward, and I'm sure that in your training it had actually listed the process, where to go, who to see, and confidentiality would be protected, all that. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to convince your friend, because that should not either have happened, or I don't want it to continue. And that's the whole purpose of this, if nothing else, is that to really set it straight from here on in, that this just will not happen, and more people aware, more people now would start to speak up, and support each other. So thank you. And if you need any help, I know that there are counselors there, the EOs are there, the administrators, the president and his management team have committed when they were here in the last roundtable. Thank you. So please, you're right. Jane, I understand that. Are you representing Dr. Okada too, or? Okay, all right, real good. Okay, real good then. Because we asked for Dr. Underwood to be here as well. If there are any questions for UOG, and now we're going to our GCC students, so we want to provide that same courtesy for them as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'm Pete Roberto. I chair the Criminal Justice and Social Science Department at GCC. First, I have to say that I'm very excited that this forum is an opportunity for our students, and I'm glad that giving them the opportunity, I feel that allowing them to share how this policy impacts our students in the learning environment. So we have students from our criminal justice and our human services courses here, and I happen to teach one of the courses. So I'm very glad that we can integrate it in classroom learning. And so, Madam Speaker, if it's okay, we can have our students speak. Okay.
Good afternoon, Madam Speaker, and to everyone present here this afternoon. My name is Mike Acosta, and I will be speaking on behalf of our social welfare class administered by Professor Pete Roberto at the Guam Community College. With respects to our support on Policy 185 in regards to sexual harassment and sexual discrimination prevention, because the Guam Community College is aimed in 100% student-centered success, we believe that Policy 185 will provide students, faculty, staff, and administrators of GCC these beneficial statutes as follows. Number one being a comfortable learning and working environment. This will enable students, faculty, staff, and administrators of GCC the potential to maximize learning abilities, mental capacity, and work ethics in an environment where an individual or groups are given the assurance of protection and moral conduct. Secondly, we believe that Policy 185 will exhibit safety boundaries amongst the GCC community. There is no greater reward than to have the assurance that students in particular will have the peace of mind to be able to function freely in a learning and working environment without little to no limitations set within the college grounds and or community. Policy 185 will also promote awareness within the college community pertaining to consequences should an individual or group be guilty of engaging in or partaking in any form of sexual misconduct within the GCC campus grounds and or community. This awareness will help establish Guam Community College as an equal and civil campus whose sole purpose and objective is to eradicate sexual harassment and discrimination by adhering to the Guam Community College core principles and providing the highest quality student-centered education and job training for Micronesia. In closing, Madam Speaker, we would like to thank you for giving us this opportunity to express our thoughts and common beliefs in regards to Policy 185. This policy will continue to help serve as a tool to empower and equip students from all ethnic backgrounds by creating a safe learning and working environment where students are given proper education by assisting each individual discover their unique gifts and strengths so that they can make a lasting contribution to society. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mike. And if we can get a copy of your testimony, we would appreciate it. It would definitely help us in transcribing. We would just copy what you just have here. All the
Madam
others
Speaker,
will
if I
have to
can-
transcribe for you.
We also have our student organization representing our students, so we have our next treasurer here to speak.
Yes, thank you. Yes, you may.
Half a day, my name is Sean Fernandez, COPSA Treasurer, that stands for Council on Post-Secondary Student Affairs. So I think at GCC we pride ourselves as being as proactive as we can. So at every general membership meeting we have a portion of our meetings where we allow students to have any concerns regarding shady figures that hang out at night, or can we improve the lighting. So we give them the opportunity to speak out, and annually we're going over our student handbook, so that goes over sexual harassment, clothing policies and stuff like that. And a big review right now is the sexual harassment, sexual discrimination policy that we've been really emphasizing, that we've actually held many workshops to educate the students, staff, and administrators. So we're trying to be as proactive as we can, because I'm also a student at both GCC and UOG, and we understand the transition from GCC. We are advocates to tell the students moving over, okay, this is what you got, because when this semester, I had my friends tell me, you had to make a Moodle account so you can register for your next classes, and I was like, many of the students were like, I don't want to do this, I just want to register for my classes. But, you know what I mean? It's all about bringing the awareness, being proactive, avoiding these situations that we know we can stop. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Elvin De Leon. I am also a member of the 54th SGA of UOG. Unlike my peers, I have yet to take the Misconduct training. However, over the years I've been going to UOG. I've been hearing stories about professors doing this to students and this and that. This is all hearsay from at this point. I can't clarify any of this, or I can't verify any of this information is true. However, if it is, there hasn't been enough push in the past years to get this information out, and although I agree, and with all my peers, that this is a great start, the training, it's just reading. I know students who don't really want to do this, and to be honest with you, I've noticed it where two people sit next to each other. Okay, do this test and I'll just copy your answers. So now the purpose of this training is to educate everyone, but not everyone takes it as seriously. And it's also one thing to read through situation and things that you can do that are right. But I think most of the time when students, faculty, they do all these kinds of sexual misbehavior kind of stuff, they are aware, but they still choose to do it. And when a person becomes a victim of these kinds of actions, the victim is typically very, they want to stay down low, and a lot of times they won't come out with it. Just like my peer, Senator Navarro, has mentioned that he's still trying to get the student to come out. And as a student who has a sibling, a female sibling, going to UOG as well, it's one thing to be in school, and it's also another thing to be worrying about where my sister is, at a certain time of the day, where it is. There are things to be aware about. I know President Underwood has already talked about installing cameras around the campus, so maybe in the future we'll have some more security or more comfort in being in the university or wherever it is in the university. But I think what I'm trying to say is that I think it's not enough to just have the misconduct training. I think we should also push for organizations in the University of Guam to inform everyone as well, because to be honest, here before the roundtable, just yesterday we had a meeting with President Underwood, and he informed us of all these things that are happening, and it's great, and it's great to hear. But I just want to really extend this kind of information to everyone else who was not at that meeting, because you can go through the whole you can go through the whole policy, but if you ask someone who has already taken it and catch them by surprise, what did you learn in that policy? They probably wouldn't be able to specify every single thing that's already been mentioned in here. So I don't think it's enough. It's a great start, definitely, but I think we should take more steps in reinforcing or strengthening it so that no one else has to become a victim, or maybe have another program so that students shouldn't have to be scared about coming out and talk about it. So that's just my piece. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I really appreciate, what you've said is that, the training is not enough. You're right, and you've just demonstrated a flaw to that particular survey where two students can sit beside each other and copy off and just go in there and just, mark down yes, no, true, false, or what have you, and really didn't get anything out of it. And I'm happy to hear you basically taking ownership of this as well by saying that maybe organizations within the schools, should be involved in getting, the information out to everyone, because it really would take everyone in the campus, if you really want to stop this, for forever, so to speak. But it's got to start, of course, with ourselves. So thank you. I'd like to open it up to my colleagues if they have any questions or comments. Before maybe I release you, if there are others out there who would like to also present something. So, in this case, primarily because, he's been the, front runner here when this first issue came up. I'd like to give the opportunity to the Vice Speaker. You want to hear from the other students first? Okay. All right. So, all right. Okay. Yep. That's not just you guys, but us. But anyway, so how many out there would like to speak so that we can make some space for you up here on the table? And those who feel that you're okay and that you have no questions to ask, if you can, if you vacate your seats, I would have others come up. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Okay, so as the students are vacating the seats, the number that we have, I'd like for those of you in the audience to please come forward as well and take, fill the chairs. But no, you don't have to leave now, okay? But you don't all have to leave. Please, the gentleman over there in the far end, please come forward. Yes, please feel comfortable to come up and speak of this. And if there's anybody else much later on as this is going on, just feel free to walk up and take a seat, okay? But I also ask the same as you identify yourself, and if you're with GCC or UOG, if you're a student, staff, faculty, or a community member, even a parent, of course, who's concerned, that you're welcome to come and speak to the committee. Thank you. So I saw your hand go up first, so I would then defer to you. Then I, open it to the others.
Hafade, my name is Joe Yuggen.
Yeah, make sure the red light's on. Thank you.
Okay. Hafade, my name is Joe Yuggen. I'm a criminal justice major at GCC. And I wanted to kind of bridge on to, what's your name, sir? Elvin? About having an organization, stepping it up from just computer-based training, right? To actually, I remember in elementary and middle school, they train us for emergencies, right? Like fire drills, earthquake, stop, drop, and roll. Everybody remembers that, right? Why not step it up and empower these victims to become less of a victim with self-defense trainings? You guys talk about awareness and policy and a number to call, but when the issue is actually happening between the assailant and the victim, let's empower these victims. Let's hold self-defense trainings. Let's give them a better opportunity and to build their self-esteem and self-confidence, because those are the two biggest things why these people don't come forward. They don't trust these people. So give them the first line of defense and empower them to know that their self-worth is, that they have not necessarily have to fight for their safe place, but to be confident enough to be safe and to handle themselves safely in any situation. So that was my one thing. It's like a question and suggestion, because it could be a liability when you teach your students to self-defend themselves, and then they can go out and cause trouble. But it's just kind of an idea I want to throw out there. I haven't taken the training yet, but I kind of understand the awareness part. So that was my 2 cents. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. And I'd just like to add, my nephew actually teaches at De Anza College, and he teaches just that to self-defense as well. So, but of course, making sure that everything to protect, of course, the individuals, because they're saying that it's one of the best things about those type of courses. It teaches them discipline as well,
and
that,
builds their confidence
you're
and
right.
esteem.
And that you only use it for self-defense and not to go out there then. Thank you so much for that. And that's the reason why we have both the leaders here from the two institutions, so that they can hear your input, your suggestions, and I'm sure we'll take it back to the other leaders. Thank you so much, Mr.
We really appreciate your time,
Alvin.
too.
Thank you. Okay, so shall we have the ladies go first? You are a gentleman. Okay. Now to get these two to decide who's going to... Since you sat first, we'll go with you. You, yes.
Oh, okay. To go off the UOG students, I don't think that you should be... Oh, hi. I'm sorry. I'm nervous. Yes, it's on. My name is Keolani Claros, and I am a human services major student at GCC. To go off of what the students at UOG, I don't think that you should be deterred with the policy. With any new policy, I'm nervous. Resistance is expected, but as long as the change is positive, people will learn to adjust, and slowly you will see an increase of persistence among the students. I believe that the policies empower students, that there's a purpose for the policies, to recognize, to report, and to know that there are consequences for sexual harassment or discrimination. Letting students know that that the perpetrators are replaceable. Some students are scared or resistant to reporting a teacher because a teacher has been there, or they think, oh, they're above me, they have the title and I don't. But I guess knowing that what sexual harassment is, and that it's wrong and that you should report it, is positive, and that there are no negative backlash for reporting, like you said, with the confidentiality. That's very important. Again, it's a matter of information. So I like that UOG has a training, a computer-based training that you have to take before you enroll into your classes. I think that we should also look at implementing a maybe mandatory orientation, like a student orientation, so you have somebody. Oh, I'm nervous. You have somebody train the students, or the students attend the training, where they are informed of what sexual harassment is. I guess because not a lot of people know what it is, and these are students straight out of high school, so a lot of them are probably, they think, oh, I didn't know that was wrong, So informing them what it is, I think, very important. And that we know that there are zero tolerance of sexual harassment, so it's really good. That's it.
Thank you very much. You're next.
Half a day, my name is Kelly Cook, and I was actually the student member that sat on GCC's Sexual Harassment Committee to make the policy and reform it. And one of the things that I kept to heart when I was sitting on the committee was the fact that I have relatives that go to the school, and they have been sexual harassed on campus, but they do not report it. They're scared. So my thing was, when I was sitting on the committee, was I want to make sure that this policy can adapt to them, to where it's welcoming them to come and report it, so they will feel safer on campus. Because I don't want them to just think they can't go to school and make a career out of themselves because they're scared because this person said this to them, this person did a gesture to them. And by being on the committee, we have formed that it is going to be a zero tolerance policy, as it always has been, and it does not it doesn't protect anyone like who has a higher authority, like in a work environment. It does not protect the supervisor. It will not protect our admins, our staff, our faculty, our instructors. It's meant to protect everyone, but it's also not meant to kind of like let them have the higher power, as if we're making our students equal. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Learn something new. It does not protect anyone, but it also protects everyone. Very good. Like that. Yes.
Hi there, everyone. My name is Kyle Sambergen. I am the office manager for the 54th Student Government Association of the University of Guam, and I'm also the president of the University of Guam's Residence Halls Governing Council. And I just wanted to say that not everyone takes sexual harassment seriously. And I will say that people fail to realize that sexual harassment is relative to the individual. Not everyone feels about sexual harassment the same way, and not everyone is going to be as strong about it. Not everyone is going to be as open about it. What I will say is that as president of the residence halls, I have overseen cases where students will feel like they're uncomfortable on campus, or they feel like they've been harassed in some way, and they will bring it forward to the administration. And sometimes the students will feel that the administration has not taken enough maybe measures to kind of address the situation. And I feel like with the sexual harassment policy, it helps protect the university in a way that it allows for the students to know that it is mandatory to take it. There really is no excuse at this point with sexual harassment, because sexual harassment is such a sensitive topic. It's such a shady issue. There is no black or white. It's usually a mix of in between. This sexual harassment allows for more protection for the university in a way that students should be able to understand what their rights are, what their defenses are, and what resources they have available to them to utilize at the university. It's also great in the fact that it allows the members of the University of Guam, both faculty and student alike, to understand where they stand in the topic of sexual harassment, that there is a focus on sexual harassment and that it is taken very seriously. Because at this point, I feel that in past years, not a lot of people have shown the proper attention to it. And I feel by putting emphasis on sexual harassment at this point in time, it really shows where the focus of the university is, that they are there to serve the students and the University of Guam, any member of the University of Guam for that matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And you're right. If, let's say you said that there were past victims who have reported it and felt that the administration didn't do as much as they would like them to, now, of course, knowing exactly what the policies are and what the steps are, hopefully then that will not happen. Should it not happen, then, right here is, the man to go to. And then, of course, the legislature would, will go to him, you're right, not interfere, but go to him to make sure that, it gets done. Okay, thank you so much for your comments. I appreciate that. Is there anybody else out in the audience who feel a little bit more comfortable now that you can come up and speak? Thank you. So what I'm going to do, yes, is that I'm going to, is there anyone I have not indicated? Anybody else? So I'm going to open it up for any questions or comments to my vice chair, who is Senator Underwood, who also has oversight of our public school system. So, Senator Underwood.
Thank you. Okay, this is the one. Okay. Thank you very much. I want to thank the students for being forthright about your experience with the training. I myself had my doubts about the online training, that it would be sufficient, because to me that probably will be, in learning. And as a teacher, we know that there are different levels of awareness, and then really when you have a new concept, you have to also provide opportunities for individuals to put that into practice. Not that we want you to be sexually assaulted for you to know how to defend yourself, but I'm just curious, because if the required training is not enough, and I don't think it is, then would you then suggest that additional live training as what I think President Underwood had noted, training provided by the various organizations. Do you feel that that would need to be required in addition to the prerequisite online, to me, awareness training?
To touch on that, ma'am? Yeah, it's just the red, right? I speak soft, sorry. It is red. This is red too. Okay. Please don't let me forget. Okay. Touching on that, you're asking if it's too much or if it's enough between the CBT, the testing, and actually it could. The way I say is that you can't force somebody to take a class right before you start your school unless it's in the curriculum. But it would be to the benefit of them. At least give them the opportunity to have it, if they feel, I guess, not required but available.
So if you're suggesting that there should be another type of training that's live that would be made available to students if they want to have additional training.
Correct. I feel that the live training would be more practical than just the CBT.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'd like to thank all the presenters who came in this afternoon, also both UOG and GCC. As I was writing down the notes and listening to all of you guys, man, you guys are great. We talk about computer-based training, empower students with self-defense, installing cameras, workshops, push for organizations to better inform all students, helpline 735 help, implement mandatory orientations, zero tolerance on sexual violence, policy 185 in existence with GCC, additional live training. All of those things, gives me a better comfort as a mother of a student, but more importantly, as we move on, and just saying that additional life training will help make that difference, because there really is the zero tolerance on sexual violence here. It is a crime, and nobody should be afraid not to share that, and maybe even doing the presentations of saying that if you're scared to speak to some higher up, speak to me, and I'll be the facilitator. So I think, Madam Chair, all the points that all these students brought up, but even more importantly, moving forward, what we can do to even better make this more accessible, to make sure that all the students understand that we will not accept any kind of abuse. Students shouldn't have to be intimidated, that this is all here. I just think that maybe everything should be mandatory. I mean, that's my personal belief. All the students here talked about it being, it was first a hassle or an inconvenience, but it's for the better for the students. I just think that maybe even looking a step further and empowering all the students to know that it will always be there. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Mr. Vice Speaker?
I just would like to take this opportunity, one, to thank the students for coming forward and providing the testimony. But I also want to thank the university and GCC. I know sometimes I can be a little overbearing. And over the last several months, I have been a little rough with both institutions to make sure that they get the zero tolerance policy in place. But I'm very happy that they have, and it is premature at this point to determine its success. I think I'm glad, as the students mentioned, this is a great first step. Now we just need a couple of semesters to find out. But I think the important thing is that both institutions have now said zero tolerance for any kind of sexual fraternization between students and faculty, and between student and student, that has to also stop and be addressed. But I think first, as an educational facility institution, that both institutions have said zero tolerance. There shall be no fraternization between students and faculty. And so I'm very happy about that. And I would just like to see where we're at in a year as to have the success of this. But as the student said, it's a great step forward. And I want to publicly thank the president and both presidents for tolerating me and making sure that we did both implement and institute a zero tolerance policy.
Yes, okay.
This is a follow-up. This one, I'm just wondering, the situation at the University of Guam certainly had raised quite a bit of awareness and pain. But this has been several months. I'm just wondering whether the university has any data at this point. The number of reports, has it increased as compared to maybe the year before? Are you tracking that? Especially with the heightened awareness.
Yes. Well, since the beginning of this academic year, we've had one incident, and then reported incident. And in addition to that, as indicated by many students here, we had the reporting of many rumors. And we have gone through the process of investigating every rumor. Some of these rumors go back literally decades. And if the of course, nothing, and some of them are just kind of harassment activities, not anything, not sexual assault. But what we've done with the rumors, and it's also been a little bit controversial, I'll admit, is that what I've done with the rumors is that when we hear the rumors, we investigate them, and even if there's no reason and there's no standing for the university to move on a rumor, we inform the person that the rumor is about. Look, this is being talked about you, so that they understand how seriously we take it. So we have done that, and just as a way of clarifying too, the computer-based training. This is just one activity. There's many other activities planned. It's not. We only highlighted this activity because it was the one where we could get everybody. So we have an app annually. Every new student is going to get live training as part of their student orientation. So it's important to understand that the university changes all the time. We have probably about 800 new students every year between the spring and the fall. So, those people are going to get live training, and then everyone who has been there before is going to get refresher computer training. So, and then we have other things. We've talked about bookmarks and apps and contests and encouraging organizations as you've outlined, which is an excellent idea. I think the residence hall, we've installed, unannounced. We've installed lots of cameras around campus. That's how we caught the guy who was burglarizing one of the labs there in the science building recently. So with unannounced, we've installed. We have cameras in the residence halls that go down the hallway, so you can see who's coming, who's going. So all of these things, those have been there a while, but they're all part of that. And I have to say that, and I'm so glad that the Vice Speaker spoke up, because the process that we've been through is really about not just passing a new policy. It's really a kind of a cultural change. It's a cultural change. And a cultural change can't be managed by going on Moodle and doing one test. It's really, as the speakers pointed out, it's going to take a year or two. It's going to take training. It's going to take continual training. But we're engaged in that cultural change, and in large measure to the leadership of the Vice Speaker. And so, he even as he said that he had zero tolerance for us, in a way, but and at the end process, it really has helped focus that. And one of the one of the things that we had kind of discussed inside the campus, what were the limits that you could go to as a public institution? If you were a private institution, you could have a full range of regulations. But as a public institution, there's constitutional law, there's common practice, there's all these things that are a public university. But, in large measure, with the leadership and the encouragement of the Vice Speaker, we went the route of banning fraternization. And that's like almost... I would say there's probably less than 10 universities in the public universities in the entire country that has done that. And the Vice Speaker probably doesn't know this, but just last week, the University of Hawaii has decided to move in that direction. And, so part of it is that as we go through the process, it's going to end up that UOG, which may have looked a little bit behind the curve, is now a little bit ahead of the curve. And Senator Underwood will give me all her other ideas later.
So I'd like to recognize Dr. Okada, please, to come forward. I have the president here to respond to any kind of questions, and I'll give you that opportunity. But we do have a student back there. You raised your hand. Can you please come forward? I want to give you an opportunity as well.
Hafaday, thank you, UOG and GCC, for all the work that you're doing for the students. It means a lot. I just have one question regarding the climate survey. I'm inquiring if you have any data about how many students have taken that or when the results will be posted.
We issued the climate survey yesterday or day before? Yesterday. Yesterday to students, and we already have about 200 responses, which is, far exceeds almost any kind of normal polling mechanism that we use. So we anticipate that we're going to get well up pretty close to 1,000, which would really be reflective of it. And of course, we have a little bit more sway with employees, so we expect that they'll be closer to, 75%.
Yes, and has GCC, are they conducting a climate survey as well? Yes. Wonderful. I think the climate, you had discussed cultural changes, and I think that's the biggest issue here. So it's one thing to make it mandatory for students to take the training, to register, but it is the culture, it is the climate, and that's what ultimately needs to be changed. So thank you for all that you're doing. Rebecca Elmore. Yes, ma'am.
So, Dr. Okada, I know that we had asked your students, and several of your students came forward, and want to thank Mr. Roberto and Jane as well for being here for you. And several of the questions that were basically asked was that, have there been any incidents or reporting since the implementation or the adoption of your revised policies?
No, ma'am, we haven't had any incidences at the GCC campus. As I last testified, since I became president in 2007, we had one issue, and it was with an employee, and that was it. And we haven't had any since. Today is actually the deadline for all GCC employees to complete the second phase of the sexual harassment training that is provided by United Educators. And so each employee was required to complete two components. Phase 1 was due several months ago, and Phase 2, or Module 2, is completed or should be completed today. And so right before I left, I got a notification from HR. I think we have about 5 employees that are pending, and some of them are just because they are either off island or on sick leave and unable to complete. So we have a few individuals that need to complete Module 2. And that is, again, an online training that was provided by our insurance.
Okay, thank you. Not wanting, of course, to put anybody on the spot, but we did have a student from GCC who basically shared her perspective in terms of the sexual misconduct policy and ensuring then that with family members that she have actually been I guess sexually harassed and had not reported it, of course, so it would not have come to your attention, but at least that's the whole purpose of this, is to hear from the students, because they may not report but they do know of cases, and she's indicated that she knows of several in her own family, but wanting to make sure then that the policy that is finally amended and passed, that it really would then protect and provide a safe haven for the students that are in your campus, saying basically that you would not tolerate this. You have a zero tolerance, of course. So I just wanted you to know that was disclosed earlier.
Absolutely, and we've actually have several faculty members that have requested for specific training from HR for their classes, and so recently Professor Donna Cruz, department chairperson, Pete Roberto, and our faculty Christiana Santos requested for HR to provide the same sexual harassment training that she provided to the employees back in September and again in February this academic year. And so as faculty take the lead and the student organization officers take the lead for more training, that will be provided to them just to increase the awareness on campus of what our policy is and understand what it means and where to go to for help. So those are, in addition to the employees required to take it, there have been some requests from administration to provide one-on-one training for the students. And so we are entertaining and providing the appropriate support for our faculty in that regard.
Thank you. Anybody, senators, comments or questions? No? Well, we want to thank you very much for being here. I want to thank all of the students also for you coming forward. This does not mean, however, that this ends, this discussion among your peers, of course. I hope you go back to them to encourage them that if they are, are victims or know of someone, that please refer them to the proper channels. There's so many different routes to go through the actual channels of your school, but going to administrators, of course, going to the police, to take it, one step further, but to not be silent about this, and hoping that everybody would look at this as being, responsible enough to, report this. If you see it, hear it, please become involved and report it. I would tell you that it works, that when you are aware of the policy and that more students become aware of it, that then the individuals, the victims themselves, will feel strong enough and comfortable enough to come forward. Because when I did that in my own school, a middle school, when we taught children to know what are good touches and bad touches, it's amazing the number of students that came forward, because they didn't know whether it was okay, whether it was right for them to come forward. And there are victims. As a matter of fact, this whole month is Sexual Abuse Month, and I read some of the results that was really startling, and I'm really unhappy to hear about it. But 60% of those just happens to be Chamorros, and that really of course is disheartening. And that's why one of the young students here mentioned that we need to change sometimes our culture of thinking and attitudes about this, and our values, that has to change in order for other things to change as well in our community. So I want to thank all of you very much for coming to this roundtable. And if there's anyone that that would like to provide additional testimonies, please feel free. We're not closing the books on all testimonies, and that we would have further discussions with the two presidents to have another series of a roundtable based on who would be the next group to bring forward. So thank you very much. It's 10 minutes to 3, and this concludes then this roundtable hearing. Thank you.